Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Black Women Rising, the podcast. I'm Leanne Pero, CEO and founder of Black Women Rising. And we are back this year with a little bit of a twist. We have labelled this show an intimate conversation with Black Women Rising, where we will be bringing you a multitude of guests and experts, all who have had a direct or indirect experience with cancer. I will say that this podcast is part funded by MSD. One of the guests is an MSD employee. Otherwise, Black Women Rising maintains full editorial control.
So my name is Leanne Adu, I am 39 and I had triple negative breast cancer, diagnosed at 35.
Wow. How did your diagnosis impact you, Leanne?
It hit me like a blast from out of space. It was during the pandemic. I was the fittest, strongest that I'd been for years. I felt so good, and actually that was probably what helped me find my lump, because I had lost weight. So when I woke up and I found a lump one day, I was like, oh, that's very new. It rocked my whole entire world, because I couldn't possibly believe that this was happening to me right now when I felt in such a great place in my life.
I know. This is something that a lot of people talking about, cancer coming along at such an unexpected time. It was the same with me. I was diagnosed when I was at my fittest, and the healthiest I'd been in years. I know your life has changed a lot since cancer, but I guess one of the biggest topics that people don't like to talk about is how much it impacts the relationships around you. How did cancer impact the relationships around you?
It really solidified some of them. You know, my best friend came with me to the appointment where I got diagnosed. We sat there, we held hands, and she was probably the only person that I would have wanted in that room with me. I think it was really telling that it wasn't my husband who was in the room with me that day, because the one thing that I realised very, very early on was that I needed to manage other people's emotions and the way that they were going to behave around me. And I knew that he was not a person that I was going to be able to kind of rely on in that space. All throughout my treatment, which again was I could only imagine how lonely it is when we're not in a pandemic, but when we're doubly isolated by not being able to leave our houses, not being able to see my family, not being able to see my friends. The one person that I could rely on was him, and actually I couldn't rely on him. So throughout the process, I felt more and more lonely and more far away from the people who I needed to look after me, and just unsupported. And so some people gathered around as much as they could. My friends would turn up at my door, they'd have gifts, they'd have presents. But other people, I think, perhaps don't have the capacity to give that. And sadly, he didn't.
But it's telling, right? Because actually, especially if you've sort of lived a life like you have, you're such a giver. You've given to everybody throughout your life. Look at the job that you do, as a PA, managing multiple businesses and things like that. And you're so giving, but actually the one time you needed the support back, that was so hard to find from the person that was meant to be the closest to you.
Yeah, and people run. They get scared, and I understand that it can be very scary to see the person that you love and care about, the biggest part of your life, in such a precarious health situation. And we can sit there and we can say, right, we're going for cure, or this is treatable. But actually you don't know. The first thing you think when someone gets diagnosed with cancer is that they're going to die, which is a really natural kind of feeling. So I understand the fear that can come along when the person that you love is told that they've got a life-changing diagnosis. But I also think that we have a duty to the people that we love to pull up our socks a little bit and rally round and be what they need you to be in that moment.
So fast forward, because how many years are you on from your cancer diagnosis now?
So 4 years out of my diagnosis, 4 years and a week out of my diagnosis. And now I am single. I am in the middle of a divorce, happily single, happily getting divorced, because I know that it's putting me in a place where I'm going to be able to be as happy as I need to be.
Wow. Yeah. It's so inspiring. And out of all of this, I guess my question is how have you found the strength Because obviously I know after, Black Women Rising now, we're going on to, 650 members now. And I guess one of the common themes actually has been how much our members have had to unfortunately separate from their partners, whether it's divorce or long-term partners and things like that. And there's this kind of like transformation that isn't a bad thing.
No. Yeah. I always wondered if I'd have an epiphany moment as I finished treatment. Like, when's my epiphany moment? When's my, I'm going to conquer mountains, I'm going to become, I don't know. And it never happened in a light bulb kind of way. Yeah. But I think gradually over time, I realised that the person that I was before cancer wasn't happy. Yeah. The person that I was before cancer wasn't living her life to the fullest. Absolutely. And now I have an opportunity. Do I want to stay being not happy and not living to my full potential, or do I want to find ways to make myself the happiest that I could ever be? Therapy has been an absolute godsend. And I had a little therapy review yesterday with my therapist, and we really talked about the changes that I've been through and how I've changed my own life. And it's not to say that everybody has to make a big dramatic change, but you do have to think about what are the things that are really getting me down? What are the things that are holding me back? And it's always ourselves holding us back. But what are those things, and how can I make those changes? Absolutely. How long am I going to keep repeating the same mistakes?
Exactly. And look at you now, thriving. What's next for you?
What's next? I mean, I'm about to hit my 40th birthday.
Yeah, you are.
So excited. My goal is to continue living a life without fear, or with as little fear as possible, because I'm terrified. Who was it who called me a worrier earlier? I worry a lot. And I can sit in that worry and be like, yes, I am a worrier, but also I cannot let those things hold me back. I'm not going to let a lack of relationship, when I've got so many fulfilling relationships around me, I can go into this future knowing that I am fulfilled by the people that I know love me and that I love them. I know that I can go forward with the capacity to build businesses, to build friendships, to build relationships, to make sure my daughter is happy, to make sure she's thriving. And all of that pushes me along, because it just helps build this huge picture of how I can find my own success in life. Yeah.
Well, you're inspirational, and I love, like, for me, I've seen the glow up and I've seen all the things that you're doing, and it's inspiring to me, I see you on that peloton and doing your thing, and and thriving. And like you said, it's that fear, isn't it? And actually going, because me and you have been around each other quite a long time, so we've also seen others, our friends, like, not make it. And I think that also makes us go, actually, life is for living, and I'm going to live it now. So, yeah, it's given me goosebumps, actually, even saying it. But I see it, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Leanne, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really pleased to be here. I'm Claudine Reid, MBE. I am a social entrepreneur, industry advisor, and a mum.
Yay! It's so exciting to have you here and talk. Obviously, we met, when I was at the beginning stages of Black Women Rising, 5 years ago. And when was you diagnosed then?
2019, September. Yeah. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was my mum's birthday.
Yeah, it was your mum's birthday?
Yes.
Gosh, Claudine. And you've just been such like a pillar of strength. Also somebody that I know that I can go to if I ever need any advice about the business and everything. And you're just that for the community. But how did your diagnosis change your life? Because I know that was so life-changing for you in so many ways, Claudine.
Yeah, I think it forced me to slow down and just stop, because I think I've heard many people say, I'm at my optimum in terms of health. I'm the smoothie lady, green smoothie, red smoothie. I eat well, I don't eat. So why is this happening to me? So it just forced me just to stop and take stock and just kind of manage all of the complexities of life, because at the same time I run a business. I've got a team of staff.
Yeah.
And you have structure and you have people who can take over after you, but actually it's my business and I want this to carry on whether I'm here or not. So it impacted my life in that it made me just stop and have a look at the important things. What's really important. I have a really incredible, supportive family network. My husband, my mum, my extended family. So in terms of what that change looked like, it just meant me just stopping everything and just really slowing down and not being all things to all people, because right now I need me to be me for myself. Right?
Yeah. But how did that then change? Because you do run a huge company. You're mentor to so many people. How did you do that? Because I really struggled with that. That was something I really struggled with, not having that control and actually having to take some time off and take stock. That must have been a huge thing, because I know that's something that I know members that come through, they're like, come through sometimes and it's just like, actually, I've got so much. And they're still, running the businesses and worrying about everybody else through diagnosis and treatment.
I think one of the really important things about life is the recognition that you can't do everything by yourself. So I really take priority in investing in my teams. Okay. So for as much as I'm running the business, I have a great team of people. For as much as I'm running my household, I have a great team of people around me to help do that. And I think that's really important. But there is also a mental shift that has to take place. So you can either continue to pretend to be Superwoman and pretend that nothing's happening and absorb the stress and absorb everything that goes along. And the reality, I think, Leanne, is that whether you're here or not, life's going to carry on. So do you want to be here and have life carry on? And if that's the case, stop, take stock. I mean, I took 18 months away from my business. I took 18 months away because I realized that actually I was stressed. And I didn't know this. I didn't acknowledge this as stress, because if you had asked me back then, I was, no, that's not me. Actually, cancer forced me to recognize, Claudine, there's some stress in your life. And if you go back before time, mentally you're not ready. Just stop, look after yourself, make yourself more of a priority than what you think you have done, and then everything else will happen in between. Because if you don't do that, if you're not here, life's still going to carry on without you.
Exactly.
And I think that was enough of a reality for me to say, you know what, let me just listen.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's so funny that you say that, because that's been on my mind a lot lately, especially like experiencing, I think, a couple of friends pass away once again this year, one very recent. I just looked around and I had to be like, life just continues.
It does.
Whether you're here or not.
And I think the challenge is seeing that. Right?
Yeah.
Somebody passes away and you think, oh my gosh, let's just sit in this moment. You've got bills to pay. What do you mean sit in this moment?
Literally.
Life, people still need you. So, you've got to carry on.
You've got to carry on. But also, again, I think it comes back to a bit what Leanne was saying around like actually living your life for you. And I've really, really that's why I wanted you to come and talk, because I've actually just really taken stock from some of the incredible things you've been doing for yourself since your cancer diagnosis. So can we talk about just how you've just completely grabbed life afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, I was 50 in September.
50!
And
Woo! Look incredible!
I thought, prior to that, that I had life on lockdown, prior to 50. And 10 years ago, my dad passed away of pancreatic cancer. And it was in that moment that I decided that I was going to live. So I was 40 years old, and I'm thinking that in my 40s to 45, I've got life on lockdown. And I realised that I didn't. The diagnosis made me recognise there are things in life that you want to do and you haven't done them yet. You've prioritised everyone and everything else apart from yourself. So you're right, I mentor people. I've written 5 books. I've made 2 music videos as a hobby.
Yes.
And anytime life just gets heavy and pressurized and you think, oh my God, what am I doing? I look at those 2 music videos and think to myself, Claudine, this is what you're doing.
Listen,
I'm living my life like it's golden. I've done so many. I think my strapline that I use is about increasing your capacity for more. What I really want is that when time comes, I want to know that I'm sitting here, I may not be ready, but in my mind, I've done everything that I want to do. So there's almost like a sense of urgency about the way how you live, the things that you do. No time for any foolishness, no time for any hang-ups or
Yeah.
setbacks.
Yeah.
Let's just take the rough with the smooth. Some days are better than others,
Yeah.
but you navigate your way through those,
Absolutely.
and that's it.
But let's talk about, because at your 50th birthday, didn't you perform?
Yes,
You performed with
I
a
did
live band. But you were good. The little clip I saw, you were good.
I mean, so you said earlier on, how do you make these things happen? I have a really good team.
Yeah.
So my brother does BVs for some celebrities
Yeah.
and so on, and so gave me some vocal coaching, done a
Wow.
couple of sets,
Yeah.
went in the studio. But I think that's the thing. I mean, I said to my brother, like, this is not X Factor. I'm not sending this off. This is not a new career.
Yeah.
It's just something that I want to be able to do.
Yeah.
I want to be able to do this. And the other thing, so I've got some massive, ambitious plans over I've called the next 10 years my decade of distinction. And I've got some really ambitious plans. And so doing that live performance for me was stepping into a new level of courage. It was me, a demonstration of stepping out of fear. So whatever a cancer diagnosis holds you to believe, you don't know how many years you've got left. What that performance did for me was step me out of that mindset. So it was more of a mindset thing. But yes, it was good. I had a good team around me. They told me what to do, how to hold the microphone, how to step, how to move. Do you know what I mean?
You look like
it was
a
really
professional.
great. Well, I don't want to be a professional. I'm not exploring a professional career in performing.
Yeah.
But what I am exploring is becoming more courageous.
Yes.
And to me,
Yes.
doing that live performance in
Yeah.
front of family and friends was me saying, I'm stepping out of fear and into a new level of
very
courage
inspiring.
and
Yeah.
living my life in the way that I really want to.
And I just think that that's really inspiring, because that's what it will do. When you see people coming out of their comfort zone and doing things, it makes you want to step into that, because there's something really freeing about that, right?
Absolutely. I think one of the really important things, I run a business. I have a team of people. I'm working with major industry experts, and they said to me, you need more courage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, because there are different levels to life. There are different complexities, and it doesn't matter how well versed somebody is or what they've achieved or where they see themselves. You always need to. There's levels to this thing, and for me, that's what I really wanted to do. I just didn't want to be incarcerated in my mind about what having a cancer diagnosis and treatment meant. I don't want to be stuck in 2019. What I want to do is continue to evolve into a new version of who I am.
Absolutely. One last question, because obviously we can't have you here as an expert and not ask you just a few practical things. I think one of the biggest things I think that I've learned from you was about getting my stuff in order. Like, what advice would you give to people who have had a cancer diagnosis? And I know you advise so many people about this stuff. Like, what practical advice would you give to people?
Yeah, I think the catalyst for this was seeing my dad. So I'm the eldest of my siblings, and that comes with its own set of responsibilities. So on a basic level, making sure you've got a will that's up to date.
Yes.
Making sure you have a lasting power of attorney. If you have young children, making sure you have provisions for those. And that's a really hard thing to do, right?
It's very hard.
Especially if you have more than one child, right? Who looks after both children? And if you don't have a relationship, or if their father is not in or mother is not in the picture, how do you navigate those spaces? So having those deep conversations, sitting down with family members. And I think that was one of the things that really helped me to navigate this situation and navigate the diagnosis, was because I had the opportunity to sit with my family and tell them what I wanted from them. And I told them that I was going to change. I'm not going to be the same person anymore. Therefore, if I'm not the same person, you need to acknowledge that, but also know that I'm on my own journey, and whatever that means for you in terms of your emotions, your mental well-being, Claudine is not the same Claudine that she was yesterday.
Yes.
So just on a practical level. And then you also recognise there are some people who can no longer be in your space.
100%.
There are some telephone calls that you can see their number and just say, I'm not available today. I just don't have the mental capacity for it. Because this is about your health. It's about your stress management, sleep, drink water, exercise, all of those practical things. But I think the most important thing is making sure your legalities are sorted, your will, your lasting power of attorney, and your finances.
I could listen to you talk all day. Do you know why? Because you're just straight to the point, but straight to the point with love, you know, and it's the advice. You know, I've sat with you and you've like, yeah, got a meeting, but yeah, I'm sitting down and I'm like, they're writing in my notebook and stuff. And it's just like, actually, yes, like you just hit the nail on the head every time. And we need you, we need your voice. And we're so grateful. And I know sometimes it's like, actually, like we go through these journeys. I talk about it with the girls. Like sometimes we go through these journeys after cancer and we're like, why? And why is it? But then so much learning comes out of it, but also so much shared learning, you know? And I know that you, alongside so many others as well, just touch people's lives with all of this advice. So thank you so much for being that person. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Adoma. I'm the lead breast clinical nurse specialist at the Royal Marsden Hospital in Chelsea.
Sarah, we've worked together for years. I mean, you have been one of our biggest champions and supporters from the minute. I don't even think Black Women Rising was a charity. It wasn't. It was just me advocating on my own. And you, well, I wasn't on my own because I had people like yourself and our lovely Della, R.I.P. And it was just you. We were a small bunch, weren't we, at the time? And that was, oh my God, it's like 7 years ago.
It was, yes.
It was about 7 years ago.
Peckham.
Yeah, Peckham, 7 years ago, Lord. And in this time, we have been able to do some fantastic things together. Yes. So firstly, just thank you for all that you've done for us as well, and just championing us, because that's been such a massive thing for us in terms of where we are now as a charity, is the people that are around us and champion our work. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I think it goes both ways, but thank you, because I think the work that you have done has also really given us the impetus to actually bring some things to light and really spotlight the needs that Black women have when it comes to breast cancer and cancer treatment generally. So thank you.
No, thank you. And obviously, through our Black Women Rising survey that we done, you know, so for those that don't know, we conducted our own research. It was a £600 survey. We asked a few questions to our membership at the time. It was just to 100 women, because we didn't have much more members than that. And we were able to produce this incredible small piece of research called the 100 Women Survey. And there was about 10 findings on there that were quite profound. And actually, we didn't know if it was going to produce anything, did we, at the time? We just didn't know. And people kept saying, you know, it probably won't produce anything. It's quite a long-winded project. And I was like, no, let's see what it does. And it pulled out some huge findings. And one of the findings on that survey allowed you to create we have to say, a pivotal, a monumental project that now has changed the course for us in how we go forward with the softies and prosthetics. So do you want to give a little bit of explanation about that?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So obviously, been a breast care nurse for a number of years, 13 years in total now, and observed that we had a softie that we give to all patients. So the whole idea is that no woman should walk into the hospital, have their breast removed, and walk out without looking like a woman. So they should be even symmetrical on the chest, so that in clothing, they look just like they walked in. And we had been giving people just one of two colors, which is often called a flesh skin tone. Yeah. A pinky or a beige type of skin tone. And this is what we had done all this while. But we knew it was not right, because I've had people tell me that, you know, when you have your breast removed, there's no black implants, there's no black prosthesis for you. But we didn't know where to go to get this changed. No. And I think it was just when you have people that align with you and you have the same vision and drive and, you know, capability to change something, it makes things happen. Because it was just by that same chance that Natalie Johnson came to work at the Royal Marsden. Yeah. We started talking amongst ourselves about the fact that the care we were giving to patients wasn't appropriate. Yeah. And we had a pivotal time where one of our patients got so angry with us, so visibly upset that we were both in clinic and we thought, this can't be right. We can't carry on like this. We have to change. So we started looking around to find some money, something to change it. But like you said, often it's hard to change things within the NHS because you need data.
Yeah.
You need some numbers to show somebody that you need money to do something. We didn't have that data. But thankfully, the 100 Women Survey was reported and we went, bang, we got some data.
Yeah.
You cannot run away from this. So we took that data to the charity and we asked for some money. And lo and behold, they were gobsmacked. Everybody on the panel was like, what? You're giving women, black women, a pink prosthesis? And we're like, yes, that's what we've been doing. And with that, we were able to partner with Nubian Skin. And in 2022, we were able to launch 4 bespoke skin tone softies that any woman of color having a mastectomy can be given. And it was really about giving people dignity, giving people what they really deserve, you know. And it's not good giving somebody something that they cannot even look at. And it's hard enough going through a mastectomy, having a part of your body taken away, lost to cancer, and not be given something that looks anything closer to your skin. So we were able to use that data to get this softie in. And as I said, it's been pivotal.
Yeah.
It's been life-changing, actually, to the point where we've won 2 national awards this year.
Yes.
Because of that.
And you know, it's crazy because this has also gone international.
Yes.
You travelled to where? Because you went to Belgium. I think that
We
you
went to Belgium.
You
We went
did,
to the European Cancer Summit
Yeah.
to present this.
Yeah.
We're still looking to get into the international space a bit more.
Yeah.
But we do, so we do need to sort of keep working
Yeah.
on it to get it out there because as we found out, it was
Yeah.
the first in the UK and it's the first in the world.
Yeah.
So
it's the
not
first in the
anywhere
world.
else.
Yeah, it's the first in the world, definitely. And like everywhere I go, people ask about the project, and I just think what you've done is absolutely incredible. And again, it's like these initiatives that are having to be created by black women. Black women are standing up and going, actually, this isn't right, and then they're coming forward to put, do you know what I mean? But it ultimately shouldn't be our job because these things should already be in place. Let's talk about the human experience. Like you touched on it briefly, but I mean, I know what it's like when we get women through the doors, but what types of women are you seeing coming in your clinic? What's the reaction from these women, like when they're seeing that these softies, which were never before in their colour, you may say, for example, it could be somebody that's been, a survivor for many years and they now can come in and get something in their colour. What is the reaction from everybody that you're seeing?
It's been unbelievable.
I bet.
And often
It's been tears, isn't it?
always makes me cry. And every time I start talking about it, I kind of tear up again.
Because it's
to
a lot.
see the reaction
Yeah.
from people, people feeling that they're being treated as a human being.
I know.
It's that humanity
It's the
bit that really
humanity
humbles
bit.
me.
Yeah.
And what has also been quite immensely touching is the fact that this hasn't even just helped people with breast cancer, even though, yes, me and Natalie work in breast cancer space. We actually had people who have had other cancers, who have had chest wall surgery and need prosthesis, benefited from it. So it's gone beyond the breast cancer space.
It has.
And people to be able to get fitted. And I saw one of our ladies who said for the first time she was fitted with a prosthesis, she was able to wear clothing that were fitting to her body size. And her daughters took her out for a birthday dinner. And, for the first time, that is so empowering. That is so humbling to see somebody, which is what you want, because these people, people are hiding in their bodies and doesn't feel confident enough, doesn't feel that they can love their bodies enough. And to be able to give somebody something like a prosthesis that will give that person that feeling that actually I am still me, I can be me again, and be able to get out and get into social settings and be able to leave. We've been talking earlier on about leaving, just being able to leave the day-to-day life, like everybody else, is really something that I think.
Absolutely.
For me, I'm just so touched that I've been able to help bridge that little bit of gap.
You should be very
in care
proud. You should be very
and-
proud.
And be able to
is-
offer people who look like me something that is worthy.
Yeah, 100%. And I'd just like to say, like, that part, what you just said there, the human experience. Because I think often the word I've come back, let's just come back repeatedly again, like in the last couple of months, the theme has been women coming forward saying, I don't feel like I'm being treated like a human. You know, it's that human experience. So this is something, again, yeah, that is so important to us and Black women. So thank you. I think my last question to you is, like, how do you see the future of this project? Because I know it's not been plain sailing. Not for one bit. It never is.
No.
It never is. What do you see the future of this project wanting to go? What can we do to elevate this project as well and make sure that this is in everyone's radar?
Yeah. I think it was very important for us, the team that worked on this project, right from the word go, that it wasn't a project that was going to sit at one particular hospital trust. And we both feel that the trust where we worked this project out was a fertile ground where we had people who were very much engaging with us, because once we presented this to the panel, we had all the support. Every hands were on deck. And we were able to pull this whole thing together within literally 6-7 months, which is unheard of.
It's unheard of.
But it was because we had that support. It was a fertile ground to be able to bring this out. What we now need to work, and we didn't want it to be made special that you have to come to this trust alone to be able to access this important support, because there are women, Black women, you know, going through breast cancer as we speak.
I know.
And along the length and breadth of the country. And so we need it to be part and parcel of basic care.
Basic
it should
need.
be part
Basic,
of care and of. You know, there shouldn't be any kind of special request or a special service.
Why is it
or
like that? Yeah,
needs
we
be
have to put in a
differentiated.
special request.
Yes. It needs to be part of care.
Of the care.
What we
From
did,
the
what
first,
we did, what we did was diversify the support, and it should be embedded in every care unit, everywhere where women are being treated for breast cancer, mastectomy should have this resource to give to women. And it's not just Black women. It covers, we have 4 bespoke skin tones. So you can give it to lots and lots of different women who will benefit from it. So that's what we want to, and that's what we are working on. And I think that's where every platform, every opportunity to talk about it, to engage with healthcare providers, to engage with all stakeholders is absolutely important to me. And I actually will go to every end.
I know you
to
will.
make sure that every woman who walks through a care center to have a treatment is able to access this.
Okay. Sarah, we love you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Thank you.
So my name is Kende Papula. I'm 37. I was diagnosed with a myxoid liposarcoma on my hip at the age of 34.
Okay. All right. Can everyone hear her? A bit louder.
I can talk loud.
I know you can talk louder. I'm sitting here going, please don't try it with the cute
please,
voice.
I'm a soft babe, but I can talk loud.
Okay, so Kende, you were obviously diagnosed with a bit more of a rarer cancer.
Yeah.
I guess one of the first questions I would say to you is, I think in a world where, especially, you know, sort of 80% of our membership, you know, is women who have been diagnosed with breast cancer. With being diagnosed with a different cancer, what is that experience like, seeing that so much focus is put on breast, and particularly not your own, and maybe also not finding many people that have had the same cancer as you?
The first thing I'll probably say is thank you for welcoming all cancers in a space where you kind of, I don't have any history of like breast cancer, I don't have any history of cancer at all. Just navigating the space generally, because like quick background on my diagnosis, I found a lump on my hip just randomly, 2021, and I was worried at first, and then when I went to get it checked, they were like, oh no, it's fine, we're just going to send you to the Royal Marsden, and I went to the one in Sutton, and I spent the whole year sort of not worrying about it and they kept saying things like sarcoma, and I was like, but sarcoma's cancer. And they said, we're just going to do like routine checks and stuff. At the time, the support wasn't there as much. I was going through a long-term breakup. My dad passed away in 2019.
Yeah.
He took his own life. Mental health was a big struggle. Then 9 months after, my mum passed away. So going from the transition of not having sort of anyone around me, and then going through quite a turbulent breakup, there was a lot to be worried about. And I also had, at the time, she was 5 years old, my daughter. So navigating that space and not really understanding what was going on at the time, this was pre-diagnosis, was a struggle anyway, because I didn't have anyone to turn to at that time. I had both my brothers, and I had my friends, and that was amazing. And the first time I actually worried was the day before I got officially diagnosed. So I was diagnosed in February 2022. When they told me what it was, I was just kind of like, well, the only question I've got is, have I got cancer? When they said yes, I felt like my world just completely blew apart, because at that point I thought, how could my life get any worse than it already was? And not understanding the cancer, not being given sort of like a treatment plan, then looking into the things that were going to happen, things that might change. I noticed that there wasn't anyone like me anywhere. They were saying things like, your skin is going to change, your skin is going to turn red. Very dark. I can't turn red. I don't even bruise. So it was weird to understand how the changes would sort of impact me. And cancer is a very isolating experience anyway. And then I will always say this, I got a care package from Black Women Rising. It had some sweets in there, it had a magazine, and it just had the important information that I needed. And at that point, I was literally like, God, get me through this. And if you get me through this, I will be grateful, but I want to give back to you guys. Because in a moment where I felt so alone and so isolated and didn't know who to turn to, there you were. So thank you. Because it wasn't just about breast cancer, it was about cancer. And in a moment where I felt already very, very alone, I then had a friend, and that friend was Black Women Rising.
So and so many things you've gone through. You've been through so much trauma. And I can't even begin to know how you navigated that. But you've also completely done a transformation in yourself. Because we always talk about this, right? And we always talk about this journey of cancer. You know, Leanne said it as well, like focusing on yourself afterwards. But it's so hard to do. Yeah. You know, it's so hard. People go through their diagnosis and they go, actually, yeah, I'm going to focus on me now and it's going to be all about me. And then they go, and then they revert back to old ways. It's really, really hard. I think as Black women as well, like culturally, we look after everybody and we're the heads of the household majority of the time, holding everything down. And it's very difficult. It's so deeply ingrained. But actually, you're an example of someone who did that. And you were like, no, it's my time. Can we just talk about your process of what you started to do after your cancer journey in terms of your health and your wellness?
So when I actually found my lump, I was the fittest I'd been. All of us. And it just feels textbook. I was listening to Leanne talk earlier and I thought, yeah, same.
We all are.
Same.
Yeah.
I was running 5K a day. I was not seasoning my chicken. I was eating broccoli. There was so much going on and I thought, oh my God, why me? And I've been on a bit of a journey. So I was like much bigger, then I got much smaller, sort of with grief and stuff like that. And when I was bigger, I was just like, I want to be skinny. I want to be like runway ready and stuff. And then when I was like super skinny, I was just like, I don't even know if I'm happy. I just eat the damn cake, you know? Yeah. And then when I got sick, the only thing I wanted to be was healthy, and I didn't care what size that was attached to. And I vowed that when I was better, I was going to focus on being literally the strongest version of myself, like physically. I tried to gym when I was having treatment. And that took its toll on me. I ended up in hospital for something completely separate. So my ovary twisted, and I had a cyst on my
Oh
ovary
my
and had to have
God.
surgery just before I had the tumor removed. So that was like double whammy. But then again, the focus was get stronger. So I got myself back in the gym very slowly. I did try to run 10K like 3 weeks out of surgery, which was probably a bad idea. No, it was a bad idea. But what I had to recognize was that I wasn't the same person anymore. I couldn't do the things that I could do pre-cancer. And I had to give myself a lot of grace. And I had to give myself time. And they say time is a healer, and it genuinely is. And from then, I've been back in the gym. I'm strong as hell.
You
now.
are the strongest you've ever been. Yeah.
I made it, like, I put some focuses in my year. One thing I wanted to do was to learn how to do a pull-up.
Yeah. You done that?
I'm on 6.
Yeah.
But I've also become really, really passionate about like running and
Yeah,
really championing like the benefits of fitness, because I found the lump because I'd lost weight. It was on my hip and my hand just randomly brushed it. And I think having lost the weight, it was a moment where I was kind of like, this could have been so much worse, because it was a low-grade cancer when I was diagnosed. It could have been worse. So the type I had, I think I mentioned it, myxoid liposarcoma. It was just hardened fatty cells that had become cancerous over time, and I didn't even know that was a thing. So yeah, just really focused on like lifting a lot of weights, running a lot. I am now the head of my run club, which is just it's been an incredible journey. And yeah, I'm apparently doing London Marathon in a few months.
You're doing it. So you are running the London Marathon alongside Leanne.
I am.
For Black Women Rising. So we look forward to watching your journey. One thing that you're so passionate about, and we see it on your Instagram and you're fantastic at it, is talking about Black women and body image.
Yeah.
Which is difficult, I think, for women of colour anyway.
Yeah.
When the world doesn't make you feel beautiful.
Yeah.
And, you know, our blackness is often erased, you know, as not being beautiful. But let alone a cancer diagnosis on top, let alone being in the fitness industry as well. How has that affected your life? And also, what advice would you give to anybody that's wanting to embark on that journey? Because I think all of us after cancer have wanted to embark on a journey of more wellness. And you're often been an example to so many of our members of wanting to get involved with the things that you do, but just can't because of that confidence barrier with its added extra layers of colour involved in that. What advice would you give? But also, what experiences have you gone through with that?
You have to forget the fear and do it anyway. It's not about anyone else.
That's what Claudine was saying.
This is literally your journey. I've been in the fitness space since I was 18, and I'll be 38 next year. It's a very difficult space to navigate as a woman. It's a very difficult space to navigate as a 37-year-old woman. It's a difficult space to navigate as a 37-year-old woman with a child. It's also another layer to be a 37-year-old woman with a child that is black. There are so many layers, and you have to think about who you're doing it for. You can't do it for the masses. You have to do it for you, and you have to be authentic in the things that you're doing. And in the authenticity people will see, and your tribe will come. Being in a space like in the Run Club, I'm probably one of the older members, and people say, you know, you don't look your age, or you look good for your age. And can I just caveat? I do not look good for my age. I look good, period. Okay? And the reason why I say that is because it often minimizes your achievements and sort of your intention around sort of pouring into yourself. I'm very, very intentional. Now, one of the things I've like made a priority for me is me above everyone else, me even before my daughter, because in order for me to be anything to her, she's 9 now, in order for me to be anything to her, I have to be the best version of myself. And what a lot of what that looks like is being intentional with like prioritizing going to the gym. It does come at a cost. I wake up at 4:00 in the morning to go to the gym, but it's the only time I've realized it's the only time I have for me, because as soon as she's awake, the day becomes about her. When she's at school, the school could call me and say, hey, this has happened. She might need to come home. I've got a day job that is very demanding. I also do a lot of like content creation and stuff, and I've realized that as the day goes along, the day belongs to everyone else, and I have to be there for everyone else. And if something happens, change of plan, childcare arrangement falls through, guess what? I can't go to the gym. Guess what? I can't run. But then I end up feeling crap because I need it for me. It becomes a lot more, when you become embedded in this lifestyle, it becomes about so much more than your physical. Physically, I look great, feel great, but inside and mentally it is literally, inside, I couldn't be more proud of who I am and where I am. Someone said that I've known you for 7 years the other day. I've known you for 7 years and I never realized you had dimples. But you know why that is? Because I didn't smile. I did not smile. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is insane. And as I was even walking here this morning, I thought to myself, for someone who's had this level of trauma, why are you smiling so much? But it's because I'm still here. When it's my time to go, I think Claudine mentioned it earlier, we're all going to go. It doesn't matter if it's cancer that takes you. We're all going to go. And life is just going to go on. So why not make the most of every single day while you are here? I want to know that if my time was tomorrow, God forbid it's not going to be tomorrow, but if my time was tomorrow, I would want to know that today was the best day I'd had. Before I went, it was the best day I had. And we have to go through life, because we don't know when we're going to go, do we? You want to make sure that the day you do go, that the day before was the best day that you ever had, that the people that love you know that they love you and that you love them. When my dad passed away, it was very difficult, but I knew that he knew that I loved him. I made sure he was aware of that. And even with the last conversation I had with my mum, I remember coming off the phone to her saying I was going to I'll call you back, and I didn't call her back. But before I came off the phone, I said, I love you, Mum. And she said, I love you too. So that being the last conversation, that was okay with me. In terms of advice that I would give people who want to get into that space, just be kind to yourself. You have to give yourself grace. You have to give yourself grace, because even as a black woman in particular, the world does not give us grace at all. We are expected to push through. We are expected to persevere. We are supposed to tolerate a lot of things. But in a world where everyone is unkind to you, be kinder to yourself. Your internal voice is going to be the loudest one you ever hear. And if that one is talking how the world is talking to you, you're not going to get anywhere. So be kind. Focus on the things that really, really pour into you, really, really replenish your soul, you know, and just don't focus on what you could do pre-cancer. Focus on where you are right now, and build it.
Kende.
Hi everyone, my name's Naman. I'm an immigrant. I always start with that now. I am a therapeutic radiographer, so I do the radiotherapy side of things. So I work at the Marsden with my amazing colleague Sarah. I also work for Macmillan 2 days a week as a national clinical advisor, and I do a podcast called Rad Chat, and an educational platform. And I'm a husband, and I do exercise, and yes, I do sleep. Everyone always asks me this. But yeah, thanks for the privilege of being here.
And you are a new father as well.
Yep, everyone keeps telling me. Everyone keeps saying I don't look tired, but I feel very tired.
You don't look tired at all. I mean, you are such a huge advocate for people of colour, particularly women of colour. And I think I'd just like to take this opportunity, because I know loads of people in this room know how much you advocate for us, to say thank you. You are incredible. And through your work, you just do so many things. I mean, how many awards have you won lately? No, you've...
won 7 awards this year.
7 awards. And they're so well deserved. You know, can you talk a bit about your work and what you do?
I suppose take it back. 2021, I was seeing a black woman, Jamaican lady who had head and neck cancer. I could see had a very severe skin reaction. She didn't look red, as everyone keeps saying. Everyone looks red. You don't look red if you're people of colour. My 2 white nursing colleagues just said, no, it's nothing, sent the patient home. She came back in the next day, neck was all broken down, really bad wound, infected, did not trust us anymore, was an inpatient for 2-3 weeks. And that's when I said, well, why didn't you listen to me? They said, well, textbooks only show white skin. It's not a big problem. I was like, well, clearly it is. This person is now an inpatient for 2 weeks, doesn't want to have any healthcare through the NHS, can't afford private healthcare, didn't come to any follow-ups, eventually died because she didn't trust us.
Wow.
But that's just one person. That was 2021. And that's when I first raised it to my own profession, saying, actually, I've looked at the skincare guidance. The word brown and black's not even in there.
Yeah.
I hate the term, but even BAME wasn't in there. Nothing of that is there. Why not? And then you look at the tools and you say, everything says look for redness. I think, I don't go red. Yeah, fine, I grew up in India, but I know I need to wear sun cream. All these myths and all these problems. And then you start going deeper and deeper and deeper. And then eventually it got to the point of, obviously now I know with newborn screening, but lots of newborn screening also says look for redness. And I remember doing a podcast through RadChat with Joe, my colleague, and some Australian newborn specialists, midwives, reached out and said, we've been looking at Aboriginal babies for decades and we've never thought about this. Or then some of my colleagues saying, oh, I've been a nurse for 30 years, I've never thought about this. And now I think it's hard not to be angry. And I think every time I just think, shame on you, that you have all these people in front of you, some of the most diverse areas in the world, and you have not considered that your skin is not always going to be the norm for everyone. I think that's why, reflecting back, and obviously it's the end of year, it's been Diwali for my family and I, it's great, it won 7 awards, but there's still so many problems, and we talked about this week, my own profession, people trying to dismantle what I've done, discredit me, bring me down and say, oh, you've won too much.
Yeah.
Let someone else do it now. No one else is doing anything.
Yeah.
Who's going to do something?
Can you imagine?
So yeah, it hurts, but I wouldn't have got this far 3 years on and changed things. I think my proudest moments are the national consent forms for radiotherapy in the UK. I've bullied the Royal College of Radiologists to change them, and even then it was still on their timescale. They didn't pay me, but now fine, I've made the relationships, it's changed, so now forever people of colour will be consented in the UK and abroad, because everyone else is copying it, that for people of colour will always be consented for radiotherapy or chemotherapy with the correct information for our skin tone. Wow. That's all I really want to do.
You are really breaking ground, and I'm so glad that you spoke about that, because I wasn't going to ask you about that. And I'm really glad that you are, because people need to hear it. So you are changing the way that, people of colour are treated. You are changing the laws, okay? And people are not happy with that. And these are people within your profession. And, okay, we can't really go into it, but I'm coming from the human experience. How does that make you feel? Because I've seen it happen when I've, been doing stuff for Black Women Rising. You can be great, but not greater than that, and you can do a little bit, but you better not do that. You better not go over that. And then as a result, you create enemies without knowing. And these are people that actually have the power to actually work with you to create huge change. And it's a bit like, are you not wanting to see the changes here? Because they're coming in. Like, I know how that felt for me. How does that feel for you?
So I came here when I was 6 years old, spoke 3-4 words of English, which was just about hello and thank you, that's about it. So I've had to work really hard to speak this way, not sound Indian, all of that. And I think now when I look back on it, it is that having got to this point, I've ignored my own heritage and culture to fit in with all these white circles. But actually, even though I'm in them and I'm helping change and actually making them look better, they still aren't happy with that. So I'm not going to win, so fine, I'll just do it by myself. Yeah. People have said, don't do any more skincare stuff, don't create a new skin assessment tool. Why not? We need a new skin assessment tool, the other ones don't work. If you're not going to do it, I'm just going to have to, which is a lot of responsibility, and I think I am burning out a bit with it. So I'm fed up of doing these talks, being invited, and I think, again, I'll go back to the colonial thing, that, all right, you're brown, you're doing well, come talk to us about it. We'll listen, we won't do anything about it. We'll give you a high five, and then that's it, done.
Oh my God, yeah.
But actually, you can't, I don't want to talk about it, but you can't argue with 7 awards for the work.
No, you got to keep talking about it.
So-
You better keep talking about it and use those awards.
I
Should have
think-
brought them here. We could have put them up on the.
I think they've probably got muslins at home on them at the moment. So. I think it's the safe spaces. So a lot of people have said, and I
It is
think
the safe spaces.
Sarah kind of mentioned about, they want evidence. I don't know about everyone in the room, but my family have been brown and around for a long time. Evidence has been there for a very long time. I don't know why we need high level of evidence to say
So true.
skin changes are different for people of colour. Of course they're different. Same as the products we use.
Yeah.
Lots of products that people might suggest, actually, they dry my skin out. And I know you've got the lovely Palmers. I love that.
yeah.
Because actually it works for my skin.
Yeah.
And every time I talk about it, it's, oh, no, but there's not enough evidence. But there is in my people. Like, it works for us. We use coconut oil all the time in India. That's how it is. Just because you don't understand it, and maybe you don't like coconut because it's too exotic, that's not my problem.
It's so true. And it's funny because I can talk to you forever because I feel like, especially when you're advocating in spaces, we spoke about this, there's this aspect of actually talking and talking and talking, but in a way that people are not listening, and it's like, do you keep talking and keep saying the same thing over and over again to people who are so hell-bent on taking it through one ear and out the other? How do you keep going? And I'm genuinely asking you that because I actually stopped talking quite a lot this year because I was just like, I'm so done. I can't keep talking to the same people about the same problems and it's going through one ear and out the other. They're not listening. Or do they actually really want to make change? And like you said, they do. They turn around and go, okay, you're black, you're in a space, you're doing well, let's have you on the panel because it looks good, rather than making the changes that you see. And I keep thinking I was being invited to things as a token, but not being listened to. I also do believe this year that some of the talks I did do reverted back to the old days, which I was talking about of, pre-pandemic, where I was in rooms and eyes were being rolled back at me. I felt that a few times this year again. And I do think there's we're reverting back to even worse before the pandemic, with people's opinions about us doing advocacy work in our communities. How do you keep going? Like, what is it that keeps you going in all of these spaces when you've got so much people against you, or, people not being very nice, to you and your work and all the things that you're doing?
Big question. I think one of the things I've been a bit of a mantra, everyone uses notes, but is you can't, I think that the quote is that you can't dismantle what you can't see. Or is it, I think you can't challenge what you can't see, you can't dismantle what you don't understand. I can see the problems, I do understand it. And it's the accountability of putting it on other people. I think maybe to check my own privilege, I am a man. If I'm a man, you're a woman, they're probably going to listen to me more. Unfortunately, it's the truth, but using that privilege to say, well, actually, I don't know the best about women's health or things like that. Actually, there is a community like Black Women Rising, you need to work with them.
Yeah.
But even then, when I have referred people, they haven't really worked with you because they're too scared to do the work.
Absolutely.
So fine, you can call problems out, but it'll make people feel uncomfortable. Take it away in your own space and do something about it. But I think for next year, I really want people to check, like I just did, your privilege, that if you're white, everything is built for you. If you suddenly now work, I think Professor Bowler always says this, if you can set up a new service, a new improvement project that is based on one protected characteristic, such as black women, it's going to fall in place for white people straight away because it's already there.
It will.
So actually, you're probably doing something more efficient, and you'll probably save money because we know our worth. We're happy to do things, and I've done so much for free. And actually, it'd be great to be a millionaire by now, but that's not the point of being in healthcare. I think NHS is built on goodwill, but I think at the moment, people like me, we're getting a bit fed up of the goodwill just being rinsed all the time.
Yeah.
And actually going into the new year, new
100%.
government, new everything, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again.
We can't keep doing the same
I think
thing.
how many babies have been missed for newborn screening. Think how many people have been sent home with sepsis because they can't see it. Think how many people have lost limbs and toes because you can't see that they don't have redness in their diabetic feet. That is a big issue, and actually I don't think people are talking about it enough.
No.
COVID, you mentioned, the pulsometers, they didn't work for people of colour very well. They still don't. No one's done anything about it. We talked about it. Everyone posted a black square on Instagram for George Floyd and
I
whatever.
took that down the other day. I saw it. I was like, why did I put this up? No, it's that meant nothing to so many people.
Sorry to call you out.
Yes.
But that doesn't do anything. Actually, we can keep talking, but it's about actions now.
It
I
is
think,
about actions. Yeah.
I don't know. We just need it. As you said, if you want to be a nice person, do something about it.
And I think that's why allyship has always been really important to our charity and our work. And I think, you know, you're a great example of an ally, just doing things and really speaking our names in rooms and talking to people about, you know, our work and championing us. And actually the fact that you are an Asian man has helped, because actually, you're right, people listen to you in different spaces than they would listen to us. So you have, as much as it's like funny, like we have, like even if I ask the team, I know Liv is in here and stuff, there's been so many people that have come forward and you said your name, that you're the one that's told them about our work and stuff like that. And we're just so grateful for you. And actually, as I go around the community, I think Leanne was doing it the other day, we just sing your praises because you do the most incredible work. Like, what's next for you? Tell us what's next for you. What's next on your agenda to tick off?
I'm hoping the newborn will sleep longer than a few hours. I think I can slow down. I don't have to keep doing everything. But at the same time, being the first to do something, there is that responsibility that you need to bring other people up.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to mentor more people of colour to do things, have the confidence in themselves.
You are doing that,
But I think also through RadChat that we are setting up a first ever free access CPD image library. So obviously when you go on Google and you type in skin reaction, it shows you white people. That doesn't help. All of our patients, that's what they see first. And then they think, well, there's nothing wrong with my skin.
Yeah.
So we are in the I think maybe in a month or so it should be live. Hopefully, as we've already talked about it, and I'm going to hold you now that I've got it recorded, that partnering with you about it is just the free images that we just want to
100%.
flood the internet with images of scars, reactions, so people know what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's very simple for me. I know that it's going to be different, but I think that's my main aim for the moment. And also, I'm now in the process next year of designing a new skin assessment tool that actually works for people of colour. And then validate it, and obviously working with Black Women Rising as part of that as well. And again, paying you for it. You can't do research if you're not getting paid for it.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing
And
I really want
you to
people
be
to
paid
know.
for all your work that you're doing as well.
One day I'll get that Ferrari, but not now. One day.
But it goes to show as well, it's like you don't do it for that. Like what you're doing is incredible, and we are so grateful for you. Can we give you one more last round of applause? Thank you.
Hi everyone. My name is Mary Law Quayson. I'm 32. I'm a management consultant, wife and mother-to-be. And I was diagnosed with bilateral triple negative breast cancer for the first time when I was 29, for the second time when I was 30, and for the third time at 32. I'm okay now.
Thank you for being here. Diagnosed with breast cancer 3 times.
Yeah.
How are you still here, smiling and living and positive?
So I know everyone's kind of, quite a lot of us have mentioned being like, you know, the fittest and everything. I was always the fit one of my friends and everything. And I think before I was diagnosed, I had such a kind of linear view of life. Like I had certain plans. I thought like, you know, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this and then this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And obviously getting a diagnosis like that, so young, no family history, like just a massive shock. I mean, it was such a shock that when I felt the lump first, I wasn't even worried about it. Like I was just like, oh, this is just a blip. Let me just go to the doctors, let me get a scan done. Yeah. They'll tell me that it's fine. So much so that I went to the appointment for the results on my own.
Oh, God.
And they were like, you know, oh, did you come with anyone? And I was like, no. And obviously it was literally the worst moment of my life.
Absolutely.
And one of the worst moments of my life. Because a few months prior, my dad had passed away suddenly. And it's just interesting. How like, you know, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it just made me, the way I look at life has just changed a lot. Like, because at the same time as this has happened, I've experienced some of the best things through it. So, for example, I literally met Jeffrey, my husband, because of my first diagnosis. We would not have crossed paths. It's a very long story. Unfortunately, Jeffrey had been married before and had lost his wife recently, and through that is how is how we met, going through the worst things of our lives, and going through something like that again. Like, I don't know about everyone in the room, or dating. I'd always been a bit like, maybe a bit performative and things like that. And when you're in that kind of situation, there's no mask, and so going through that and meeting him and everything allowed me to show a side of vulnerability that I've never really shown to other people. And I was able to kind of see how he really was, and the care and the love that he showed me. And so when I look at my experience, I can't look at it always as a negative thing. It's like I have to take the negative and the positive. Like, it sucks. Cancer sucks, and the treatment, it's not the most pleasant thing. But I just thank God so much that like I'm here. I feel well. I've had amazing care. Like, the teams that have looked after me, they are amazing. And look, even the most recent diagnosis, it was done so early. It was so early, because they continue to monitor me. They continue to check things. Like, there's never just a brushing me off. And unfortunately, I know that that's the experience that others have. But I'm just grateful.
I just think, like, the way that, you have such resilience, and the way that you've turned this trauma in your life, including losing your dad as well, with such grace, I think is so admirable. And I know it's so hard to do. And I know faith is so important to you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting, because I would say, like, my faith through the whole thing, I had ups and downs, you know. I had ups and downs. Because
it makes you question.
And I think that we have a tendency to always compare our lives with, like, the best case scenario. Like, you're always thinking, like, why did this bad thing happen to me? Instead of maybe looking at, like, yes, this bad thing happened, but actually it could have been so much worse. Like, what if? So when I was diagnosed first, when I went for the scan, the radiologist initially was like, it doesn't look like anything to worry about. And they said, but just in case, we'll do a biopsy. And sometimes I think about the fact that just in case, thank God for the just in case, So I've had to kind of work on my mindset to be like, okay, maybe I didn't get the big miracle healing thing, right? But like, I can see how God has been with me through all of it. And stays with me through everything.
And do you think, is it faith that's got you through a lot of this and managed to change your mindset over stuff?
Yeah, definitely.
And
I'll be honest, I don't know how people do it without any. I don't know.
No, but I don't either, and that's like a personal thing to me. Like, I don't either, because obviously in my own journey, like, just this whole journey here, I'm a massive believer even now, like, the work that I do, I'm doing God's work, and I'm doing that through him, and I'm very, like, very mindful of that, and I don't think I could have got through many of the things that I've gotten through without that. But I do know when it comes to religion, it's a very tricky thing, because I think that plays a part in so many people's journeys. And unfortunately, within our community, the whole religion thing is seen as this massive hindrance into sometimes, like, getting care and stuff like that. And what's your opinion about that? Because I think a lot of people, I see a lot of people slam religion in times like this, and there's this kind of whole misconception. I remember being at in my hospital, my oncologist was like, "Are you religious?" And at the time I wasn't going to church and things like that, and she was like, and I was like, not really, but I believe in God. And she was like, okay, cool, because I'd just like to stay, so many women come through the doors, and because of Christianity, they're not taking the drugs because they believe their God will cure them. There's this whole kind of misconception about it, and we hear it all the time. But is religion to blame for that? What is that?
So, this is something that really upsets me. And look, I'll say, I think it's certain groups or like sects if you like,
Yeah.
within Christianity, where for whatever reason, I'm not really sure why, there's been a real push towards this kind of everything is always supposed to be going well for you. And that's one thing.
Yeah, so true.
But I think also in those kind of groups, for whatever reason, when it comes to like certain, I've realized it's certain diseases, right? It's certain diseases.
Yeah.
Because like the same people who will take their blood pressure meds,
Yeah.
they'll take their diabetes drugs, no problem. As soon as it's cancer medication or cancer treatment, suddenly everything is, you know, no, you can't do it. Just believe that God will heal you. And I don't think that, and again, for whatever reason, there is this belief that if you do take the drugs or if you do go on treatment, it's like your faith is not strong enough. And I'm just like, yeah.
I've been told that.
And I just don't, I just don't believe that is true. I don't believe that is true. There is nowhere in the Bible that advocates for that, right?
Yeah.
There's literally like in Timothy, there's a bit where Paul specifically tells Timothy to have a little bit of wine for his frequent ailments, okay? Paul did loads of miracles, right? Paul been doing miracles, okay? So it was like, so why? So it was like, okay, so if Paul had done all these miracles, well, why didn't he just cure Timothy and was like, well, don't take anything.
Yeah.
Don't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's just like, look, we are not God. We don't know how God does things. We don't know always the purpose of things. But I'd like to believe, and I do believe, that God works. Yes, he can work miraculously, but he also works through our doctors, through medication, like through all of these amazing things that everyone is doing.
Exactly.
That is also evidence of God
100%.
working. And I think it's really a big shame that people have been brainwashed into thinking that those things don't count, you know? I had a conversation with my surgeon the other day. She's great. Like she's just fantastic. And I asked her about this because I have kind of anecdotal experiences of hearing of people, of knowing of people who didn't take medication for the same reasons. Or something she mentioned as well was, you know, sometimes it's actually even like white women now who are because totally. You know the crystals or the meditation will heal me. And I just, the whole mindset is a real shame. And she said the similar thing to what your oncologist said, maybe a bit nicer way. She just said, unfortunately, it's a big problem where they're seeing, you know, women of color, especially like, I'm going to say maybe Nigerian, but like Ghanaian, you know, that's a big thing. And when they come, they are either really, really late stage, or if they're told the treatment, they're like, I reject it and everything. And, you know, she recently went to Ghana to try and raise awareness of it. She's gone into churches to try and speak to pastors.
100%.
But yeah.
It's such a shame. I mean, I always say, you know, I've not met anyone yet that has not taken treatment and they're still here. That's such a shame. Yeah, I've not met anyone yet that's not taking treatment and is still here. But I love what you've said, and I think this conversation was really, really important to have, because it saddens me that people slam that. And I think a lot of the time, it's actually not about the religion, it's about fear.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think it's fear. People are scared, and I think people need to be honest more about the fear rather than trying to use religion as a mask, because all that's doing now is it's got people now having this misconception. It's, oh, she's religious. Is it because of her religion? And it's actually, no, it's not that. It's fear, okay? Yeah. Fear. And I guess that's why a story like yours, cancer 3 times, experiencing grief, but hold on, met my husband.
Yeah.
5 months pregnant.
Yeah. And, you know, I had...
Other stories.
Yeah, and look, you know, obviously going through chemo and all the treatment is very harsh on your body. And look, I prayed through all of it, and sometimes you hear things you don't want to hear, right? Like last year I had scans and it was like, you know, your egg reserve is low and all these issues. But look, we got pregnant. We got married in July and got pregnant in August. so it's like, look, you know, like there's
Most incredible things happen.
like
Yeah.
thank God, you know, like sometimes the doctors aren't right. But yeah, often they are, and we should listen.
Thank you so much. And again, like, you're a new voice coming into the space talking, because you don't really talk much about your journey and stuff.
No, and I've decided that I'm going to start talking more
You
about
need to.
it. Yeah,
We need to
definitely.
hear this story. This story needs to be told multiple times, because, like I say all the time, actually, the podcast used to be called The Untold Cancer Stories. I took that out because actually our stories are now being told, and we're being seen and we're being heard, and we need to hear your story. These are the stories that people need to see, because what that does is eliminate the fear that our community have, okay? And we need these examples to show people there is so much to live for after a cancer diagnosis. So thank you for coming, and thank you for talking.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.